He did amazing on it. So this month, we're starting a new series on hospitality. Webster defines hospitality as the generous and friendly treatment of visitors and guests. I think we do a pretty good job of being hospitable here at Fellowship. We need to make sure, though, that we continue that outside our walls. We want to invite people to his table and into his fellowship. These next few weeks, we'll discuss how to prepare, invite, and become hospitable. When you're preparing for guests to come over, even if it's just family, what do? Well, at my house, that's when the house gets the cleanest. Sometimes I want to lie and tell my boys' company's coming over just so I can get my house clean. To become completely welcoming, though, you also need to ensure that you yourself are clean. Not just the physical, please continue that, but also the internal. You all know that song we just sang, This Little Light of Mine. Well, in order for us to let it shine, it must first be turned on inside us. In order to do that, we need to start admitting when we're not fine. I'll be honest, when Eric asked me to preach today, I said, sure, no problem. What topic? He told me hospitality. I said, too easy, I've got that. He said, great, I'll send you the outline. When I looked and saw that today was self-care, I immediately messaged him back and said, dude, self-care really? I feel attacked. True Eric form, he just sends the rolling, laughing, crying emoji and then sent me something to make me feel better. But I am probably one of the most hot mess expressed women out there. My personal check engine light is on so frequently, it's just become a nightlight at this point. See, as a single mama to 3 boys, I rarely did anything for myself. Now, my boys, and some of you who know me well, will probably ask why that last statement was past tense. If my boys were interested in an activity, I didn't just say, okay, no problem. I would volunteer to help. Figured I'm already there anyway. This has continued through the years, causing several volunteer jobs to overlap. I've gotten pretty good at juggling. This past school year, I didn't have a day that something wasn't planned. I think the only person in here at a busier schedule might be Liz or Carrie. That's already looking like it's going to continue for this next school year. Band camp starts this month. One of these days, I'll learn the meaning of no. Today's not it, tomorrow's not too promising. But eventually, I'm sure I'll learn it. Our verse today is 1 Timothy 4, 7b through 11. Train yourself for a holy life. While physical training has some value, training in holy living is useful for everything. It has promise for this life now and the life to come. This saying is reliable and deserves complete acceptance. We work and struggle for this. Our hope is set on the living God, who is the Savior of all people, especially those who believe. Command these things. Teach them. It's the word of God for the people of God. Thanks be to God. That's me. Yep. October 2024, I was in the ICU. While it was due to anaphylaxis and not stress, it did force me to have to stop for a little bit. In the process of recovering, I realized that I needed to start finally looking at my well-being. That epiphany was forced on me by my friends and family. So you see, 2 hours after I was discharged from the hospital, I was escorting my son on the field for senior night. When I tried to help with the band that night, I was told I wasn't allowed to even pick up a mic. I didn't tell very many people that I had recently been in the discharge, let alone been discharged from the hospital, let alone that I had been in the ICU. But those who knew me ensured that I took care of myself for a change. In the process of doing so, I realized two things. One, I am just as important as my children. I still struggle with that, and I probably always will. But the second lesson helped with the first. By taking care of myself, I'm happier taking care of others. It hasn't changed how I put others first, but it has changed my outlook and attitude that I use to help. I started exercising regularly and eating better. I started this for my physical health. After being on high-dose steroids for an entire month, my weight was at an all-time high, and I wasn't okay with it. I did not like what I saw in the mirror. Going on walks daily did more than just improve my physical health. It has helped my mental well-being and has brought me closer to my sons. At least one of them will go on a walk with me once a week. During these walks, we will talk about whatever they want to discuss. For at least 40 minutes, I have my teen or young adult son off of their electronics and openly discussing their life and their interests. It's awesome. There's even been a couple times that Caleb did not want the walk to end, so we kept going. 6.25 miles later, both times that he's done that, in over 2 hours. I will gladly take whatever soreness awaits me in the coming days for over 2 hours of talking with my son. My self-esteem has also taken a huge turn for the better. I have actually started to like that person in the mirror. I've also noticed I handle stressful situations easier than I ever did prior. I never felt that I handled them poorly, as I've always been pretty laid back. But I was getting to the point of feeling like I was on the edge. I was always waiting for the other shoe to drop, or that I was just one crisis, one problem away from that meltdown that seemed to be just on the horizon. Now, I've been able to take that same level of problems and stress and roll with the punches without tensing up. I'm sure to the outside world, I've never really tensed up, but internally, I can feel a difference. Once I noticed the physical and mental health were doing better, I had another light bulb moment. I needed to work on my spiritual health. In the past, when I felt I was closer to God, everything in my life was better. It's not that I didn't face problems, but I knew I was not facing them alone. And I seemed to just be in a better frame of mind to let things go that shouldn't bother me. I was able to keep things in perspective. I was happier as an individual. So I thought, what can I do to get back to that? I started to do a devotional every day on my phone. That lasted for several weeks. Then I stopped. Still not sure why. I finished one of them and didn't start another. Then I forgot to start one because the reminder on my phone was no longer going off because I had ignored it too long. When I realized it had been a while, I came up with the excuses. I thought it was okay because I was still doing Bible study and still going to church every week. I was still listening to my Christian music on my workouts and in the car. I had even started listening to it while getting ready in the morning. While it does get me going better in the morning than nothing, it's not what the best start for me is. I need to start taking that time that I would normally mindlessly scroll on my phone in the morning and do a devotional, or better yet, spend it in prayer. I'm working on I had convinced myself that the little bit I was doing was enough. I was talking to my friend about it, and if you don't have a friend to hold you accountable, I strongly recommend you get one. She's the one that gave me the wake-up call I needed. She told me, and I quote, "It's good to have the music roaring, but don't get complacent, sister. Can you imagine singing songs that remind you of your children all day, but never hearing from them?" Yeah, that hit me right where it needed to, and it hurt. Just like it needed to, it took me to my knees. I'm still struggling with my spiritual health. It's been really hard to figure out how to guide others in keeping themselves close to God when I struggle with it myself. So, how can we work on this together? For me, I first wanted the answer to why did I stop? Because I was feeling better and happier. I think it's like when you take meds. When they're working, you don't always see the need for them, regardless of that being the actual proof of why you're taking them and that they are working. With meds, when they're working, it's also easier to forget to take them. The same is true on our daily Christian walk. But also, like with meds, when we forget, it doesn't work. And we start to realize why we're on them. We need to rebuild the habit of daily intentional connection with God. The saying goes that it takes 21 days to form a new habit. That's not true. It actually takes 18 to 254 days, with an average of 66 days. So over 2 months on average to build up a new habit. If you're as scatterbrained as I am, it's probably going to take you closer to that 254 days like I do, before it becomes muscle memory. So I needed to set an alarm, if I need to, set an alarm on my phone. Okay, try that. But don't ignore your alarm. I have one set to go off every day at a specified time to take meds. More often than not, I'll ignore it, thinking, got it, I'll take those as soon as I finish what I'm doing. Then, inevitably, I forget after I finish the task. However, if I stop what I'm doing and take those, it never really adds that much time to what I was doing to begin with. And I feel better knowing I did what I needed to for my health. The meds I take at that time aren't ones that have that instant effect. Whether I take them or not, I will feel no different. But over time, hopefully I will see a difference with my back work. The same is true when we start dieting and exercising. When I started working out, I felt that immediate high of the dopamine rush. But after it wears off, I'm back to normal, sometimes even worse from being sore. However, over time, I've seen the difference in my clothes fitting looser, or being able to walk and talk for long distances, or I can go several flights of stairs now without getting winded. When I was spending that daily time with God, I'd get that immediate dopamine-like rush, and I'd feel fantastic. But I would then go about my day and would start letting those frustrations get to me. After about a week, though, I noticed it was taking longer to get frustrated. After a couple weeks, I noticed I wasn't responding to the frustrations the same. The biggest thing was not having to ensure that the door was shut at work before I let my real feelings out. I work at a pediatric clinic. I'll let you figure out why the door needed to be shut before I verbalized frustrations. So let's get happier together. Let's start to work on ourselves, whether that's physically, mentally, spiritually, or all the above. Start somewhere. Don't try to do everything at once. It's not ideal. You'll get overwhelmed and you'll give up. Start slow. If that means listening to a daily devotional on your way to work, great. If it means just walking a little every day while rocking Christian workout radio, great. Whatever small step you feel you can take it. Then, when that step is easy, take another. For when we get happier and healthier ourselves, those around us can see it. It rubs off on them. My boys and I are closer. We're spending more quality time together. Those that I see for just a few minutes every day, we're leaving the exchange with smiles on their faces. Well, the parents and some of the teens were. I rarely get the babies smiling before I leave, even if they were when I came in. I'm primary mood ruiner for those babies. For those that don't know, I'm one of the immunization nurses. But I noticed that the parents that were frustrated when I entered the room were less frustrated when I left, even with a now crying baby. The longer I was intentionally spending time with God, I started to have parents ask me about my faith and which church I attended. I was sharing His love and compassion without even realizing it. I was practicing that godly hospitality. But I had to start with me. So as a church, let's do that together. For then, we'll be able to continue that hospitality authentically outside these walls and let those little lights shine.